is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony. I want to talk to you about taking your business and your life to the next level. Success in business and success in life is greatly dependent upon our ability to influence others in a positive way.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of The Ability to Influence, and I am super excited about today's guest. Not only is she a close friend, she's an amazing speaker, author, and business coach. And this special lady is definitely a person of influence, and I cannot wait to dive into her story, who she is, why she does what she does, and how she became that person of influence. So please help me welcome today's guest, CEO of Lane Business Consulting, Miss Lorraine Lane. Lorraine, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. I am so happy to be here with you, and I want to share my story.
I am awesome. I am so humbled and honored to have you here. And I just want to, real quick, I got to tell everybody how we met, right? So I got invited to go out and speak at a networking event one day, and I show up at this group, and it was kind of a small group. And I'll be honest, I was a little discouraged when I got there because it was this small group, right? Because as a professional speaker, you know, when you go out and you go to these events or you get invited to these events, they tell you, oh yeah, we're going to have 50 people there, etc. You show up and there's 12, and you're like, wait a second, where's the 50, right? But anyways, I show up there and I speak, and there you are sitting in the front row, front and center. And the entire time I'm speaking, I am thinking, you know, as a speaker, you know, we scan the crowd and we look at our audience. And I remember you sitting there with this very serious look on your face. And the whole time I'm speaking, I remember thinking, this lady right here is not feeling anything that I'm putting down, right? She is not feeling me at all. And at the end of that, I made an offer for an upcoming event that I had. And guess who signed up for that event? You.
That would be me.
Yes. And from that event, we continued to progress our relationship and entered into coaching together and all of that kind of cool stuff. And so that's how you and I met, so that everybody else knows. But I will never forget that day. And I am so excited that you took an opportunity to engage with me, because just as I'm sure, you know, you'll tell everybody at some point that I've had an impact in your life, you've had a major impact in my life and my business as well. So I love you, and I'm so thankful and glad that you're on here with me today. But, you know, what's even more powerful than that story is your story. And you and I have worked for quite a long time now on getting you to that place where you're like, all right, Steve, I get it. I get it. Because for a long time, right, you didn't think that your story...
Oh, I did not tell my story.
Yeah. Why?
I was embarrassed, and I thought, if I tell my story, people will think less of me, or wouldn't accept me, or, you know, all those things that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So I was hiding my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I did too for a long time. I bet there's a lot of people out there right now. I know I find it all the time in coaching with people, and I know you do too as a coach. There are a lot of people out there right now that aren't sharing their stories.
Yeah, that is true.
Because of that fear, because of that, you know, fear that people are going to judge them, or that it's going to have some kind of negative impact on their business or their life or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you turned a corner, right? And
yeah.
And I had you speak at my last event,
mm-hmm.
and you got up and you told that story, your story, and holy cow, it was so powerful, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody in the audience was like, whoa, I had people coming up to me while you were speaking, going, man, she is killing it. She is killing it up there, right? So go ahead and, without any further wait, tell everybody this story, because it's so powerful and so profound. I love it.
All right, deep breath. So I grew up in a very Catholic family in Burlington, Vermont, small community, and my whole family was very strict, and my father was stricter than most, and he did not tolerate noise. So my brothers and I were always tiptoeing around, and I remember one day I didn't think he was home, so I came barreling down the stairs only to find him at the bottom of the stairs, and I had to go up and downstairs without making noise 20 times.
Wow.
And so that influenced me a lot. There was no speaking up for yourself or that sort of thing.
You were silenced.
So being quiet, being silenced, being quiet, being invisible, basically. And so I made a choice that I would escape this kind of silencing, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you look at it logically, but I just made the decision to go into the convent. And yes, so I spent 8 years in a cloistered monastery.
Yeah, this wasn't just any convent.
No.
Like, this was like
Yes.
the upper level convent, like serious
This
convent.
was the most rigorous, most confining, but I felt called to it.
No, it was the Carmelite, right?
Carmelites. And so you didn't go outside, you didn't go out, and spent many hours in prayer and in silence. So
About how many hours a day would you be in prayer?
in prayer, about 7 or 8
8 hours a day in silence,
in prayer.
praying.
Yes. So the prayer, we had 2 hours of meditation, which was silent prayer, and then we chanted the divine office at the different hours of the day. So there was a lot of different kinds of prayer, but prayer. And so people ask me, did you talk? Yes, we did. We had an hour of what we called recreation after the noon meal, and then an hour after dinner, or collation, we used to call it. But that wasn't a time to talk. We sat in 2 rows, and the prioress would have conversation. So the older nuns sat at the front, and the younger ones of us in the back. And during that time, you sewed or did work. You talked only if you were called on. So there were days and days and days where you never were called on because the older nuns apparently had more to say.
You were probably sitting there going, please, please, please call me. That should have been your topic of prayer for those 8 hours. Please let them call on me. I want to talk so bad.
Yeah. Well, so I got used to being quiet, silent. I could walk. I could walk anywhere without making any noise. So you get these habits. I'll say where I was in a habit, but you develop habits of silence, and so I could go into meditation or prayer at the drop of a hat. It was normal.
Wow.
So after 8 years there.
So what happened? What was the
happened?
transition? Because I know
Okay.
that's a
Yeah.
really good part of the story, and I want you to share that with everybody. So
I began to have such intense headaches that I couldn't climb the stairs without going up one at a time and stopping because I thought my head would explode. And one day I actually contemplated jumping out the window, but then I thought if I didn't do the deed, I'd be crippled for the rest of my life. So I didn't do it, obviously. But I was in that much pain. So the decision was made that I should be tested to see if maybe I had a brain tumor or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I went into the hospital for tests, and because I'd never had any medication for years, not even an aspirin, they were giving me something to manage the pain, and I went delirious. So this intern came and sat with me and talked to me about why I had chosen that vocation and was I happy and so on. And I really didn't like the conversation.
yeah.
And he said to me, maybe you ought to think about maybe doing something else, or that maybe you're called to do something else. And I thought, no, you're wrong. So he sent me home with a prescription, which he told me was candy pills. And then I was to come back and see him.
Right.
So once he planted the seed, I couldn't think, like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find God anymore. So I was desperate for some peace, and everything kept telling me, you're done here. You're done here. You need to leave.
Yeah. When you make up your mind, or you come to that realization that there's another path that you're supposed to be on, it eats at you until you take it.
Until you do it, and God just wouldn't let go. So
you made the decision to leave. And how was that? Like, what was that like? Did you just go to somebody and say, hey, I've decided I don't want to be a nun anymore, or what?
Well, the decision was being made by the older nun community to allow me to take final vows. Now, at the time, if I had taken final vows to be released from them, I would have had to go to Rome and ask the Pope to release me from my vows. That was...
Wow.
So
you were 8 years there, and you still hadn't taken your vows yet.
Vows.
Oh,
no,
wow.
No.
Okay.
So the day that they were deciding and I decided, no, even if they say yes, my answer is no. Mm-hmm. So I stood up and said, I am not taking solemn vows. And the whole community, 21 of us went, and so I was whisked away. And it was like I didn't belong to the community anymore, so I couldn't talk to anybody. And someone brought me the dress that I had entered with, so I could wear that home, and that was what I went home with.
Wow. And so going home was not this awesome experience with welcome home signs and let's throw a
balloons and a party.
Yeah, no, none of that.
No.
So your parents were pretty.
I was an embarrassment to them because they had achieved notoriety in the Catholic community that their daughter was a Carmelite nun, and for me to come back was a failure. So, and they did not want to be seen with me in public. So I got that message, and I had nowhere else to go.
I mean, they would go to parties and stuff, and they would tell you couldn't come.
Or leave without me.
They just wouldn't even tell you. They would just go.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So it took my younger brother to tell me, they don't want to be seen with you. They just would rather that you hide. And so I had to make my own way. And
you were in bad shape too, because one of the parts of the story that's so powerful to me is that, you came home, your head was almost not shaved, but it was like,
not really cute.
Yeah. And you had calluses
on my knees from kneel on your knees on the bare floor for 8 years. You're going to develop
for hours a day.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and of course the style then was short skirts. So my brother said to me, "Oh my God, you're such a mess."
Yeah. No short skirts for you, right?
Right.
So how did you readjust? You obviously at some point you went out, you got a job in the corporate world, and
yeah. So I decided I had to do something. I couldn't just sit home, and I had to find my way.
Right.
And so for me, it was like, here I was in my mid-20s, and I felt like I was 10, right? Thank God for my brother. My youngest brother was still home, and I didn't have a license. I didn't know how to drive, and all of those things that you think are just normal part of a person's upbringing and development. So I made the decision to go back to college and get my degree. So I did that and worked full-time while going to school full-time. and yay me, I graduated Phi Beta Kappa and Summa Cum Laude. So,
Nice.
well, I wasn't dating a lot, so I had time to study. and I was promoted in my job because I didn't go out and smoke, and I just did my work.
You were the only one working.
Quietly.
You weren't socializing. You weren't talking. Like you were sitting there, focused.
Because I could. It was just normal for me, right?
Wow.
So I got more work done than 3 people. Of course, I didn't realize the other people in the department didn't like that. But I was up for a promotion, and I decided that I wanted something different. I wanted to teach, and so I tried to get a teaching job. And so all the experiences that I went through were just stumbling block after stumbling block, but I had to plow through.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't somebody by my side saying, do this, do that. I had to do it by myself, knock on doors and ask questions. And it wasn't...
You know, I'm a firm believer that our life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, they've all gotten us prepared for ultimately what it is that we're supposed to go and do. And
Right.
you ended up leaving corporate America and becoming a coach, becoming a business coach, becoming a high-level corporate executive coach. What sparked that? Like, how did that transition take place?
Well, I was hired into corporate America, high tech, and excelled there and did things that I always seemed to get jobs that nobody had done before. So constantly being this pilgrim, plowing the way and doing things. And it never occurred to me that it was unusual.
Yeah.
And the last manager I worked for was an amazing person, and I am so grateful I got to work for him. And I was managing 17 different projects at the same time. And so we were talking one day, and so I was putting A, B, C, D together, and he said, you do that. You think through and you know what needs to be done, And I said, well, doesn't everybody? And he goes, hell no. But I didn't know that.
Right.
So I had tremendous experience. And in my last position for 7 years, I developed training for managers and started training managers on how to be coaches.
Right.
So that prepared me for being a coach when I started my own business. So after being laid off from my dream job, I, after a while, gave in and started my own business and have been a coach for over, I guess, 25 years.
You said something profound in there, and I want to make sure that everybody catches this. Most coaches out there and a lot of aspiring speakers, one of the things that they struggle with is who wants to listen to me? Is my knowledge, have I reached a level of success yet that allows me to go out and teach others or coach others? And I know I deal with this a lot with my coaching clients, and I know you do as well.
Yeah.
Is helping them realize that your experience, your knowledge is very valuable, and not everybody knows what you know, and people want to know what you know, and it would benefit them in a big way. So I think that was pretty powerful that you said that, because there you were, thinking, doesn't everybody already know this? And the guy's like, no, not everybody knows this. And so what you were able to do after losing that corporate job,
Right.
And it's so funny how many similarities that your story and mine has. Obviously I was gone for 7.5 years, right? And was in a almost prison, was in a prison scenario. You were in an almost prison scenario, right?
And let me tell you, that's why I was so intent listening to you that day, was like, oh my God, our stories are so similar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I took the corporate path, got laid off, and same with you. And then, of course, I came to the realization that my knowledge and experience in sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff would benefit
Yes.
a lot of people. But it took me a while to get there. And it took you a while to get to that understanding.
Absolutely.
So now you have this, obviously at that point, Lane Business Consulting was birthed, and you have this amazing coaching business. You've got entrepreneurs from all walks of life that are coming to you and buying your coaching programs and investing in you for private coaching and wanting to know what you know and how you can help take their business to the next level. I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners, but you also do a lot of corporate upper management stuff, which is really, really your strength. So talk a little bit about that.
Right. So my passion is working with managers who've been promoted, and they did such a great job when they were doing their technical work or their project work, and they got promoted. And nobody prepares them for that step. And so the satisfaction of doing the technical work isn't there in the management work. So how do they make that transition? And I love helping them make that transition and help managers hire the right people. Because if you don't have the right team around you, you are not going to succeed. And
well, it's also, helping the upper management decide who is worthy or who can handle that promotion, who can go, because not everybody can go from worker bee to manager. That's a big difference there.
it is a big difference. And when somebody who's a great technician takes the promotion and they really don't in their heart want it, but they see that as the only path to getting an increase in salary or notoriety or a career path, then they take the job and they're so unhappy. And so then the organization loses a good technician and they get a lousy manager. So how is that success?
There's a lot of extra pressure that comes along with being in those leadership positions as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some people don't want that pressure.
They don't, and for organizations to let it be okay to be a good technician and reward people for that.
Yeah.
So that was what I did for the high-tech company.
So do you think every company that has any good sense at all should bring you in?
Absolutely.
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 I tell CEOs all the time when I work with CEOs, one of the best things that you can do for your company is to bring a consultant from the outside in for a short period of time to put a second pair of eyes on your organization, your processes, what you've got going on there, because somebody like you could walk in and pinpoint a few things immediately that could really change the trajectory of their business or the way that they're handling things, the way they're doing things, make it way more efficient just by having somebody from the outside, a consultant come in, take a look. And right now it's very important to do that because there's a lot of change going on. Companies are having to make some major adjustments right now in how they do things, how they hire people, processes, all of that kind of stuff. So right now is a great time for somebody to take advantage of what you offer, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because if you have employees who are unhappy, a lot of times the only way they can change that for themselves is to leave the organization.
Yeah.
And so that's very costly.
That's how you lose good people.
Yep.
So if there's a CEO out there, an HR person that is looking to spice things up a little bit, lift things to another level, where do they go to reach you?
They can reach me. Email is Lorraine with 2 R's at lanebc.com or 813-486-2837. I answer.
Awesome. And you also have a website, which
I
is
do. lanebc.com.
lanebc.com, which is lanebusinessconsulting.com. So it's short for that. Now, you're also an author.
I am.
Yeah. So you've published one book. One book. You got a second book coming here real soon.
Right.
What was the first book called?
First book is called Business Building Referrals. And so I wrote that because people kept telling me I needed to write a book, and it took me 10 years to finally say yes. And I teach people what it means to really network, what it means to give a referral. So,
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's going to help people get out there in the market and
Absolutely.
shake the right hands and connect with the right people that are going to open the doors for them.
and think about what you're doing.
Yeah, and who is that business for, or who is that book for? Anybody?
Anybody, actually. I've had corporate people who read it who said, wow, I never thought about networking, but I should.
Yeah. But if somebody's out there and they're networking right now, this is a must read for them
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it'll help them a lot.
Yes. You will
Fantastic.
revisit how you network and how you buy what other people are telling you.
Yeah. Now you have a second book that is
Yes.
actually about to be published within the next few weeks, probably, right? And
Yes.
that's called
Get it right.
Get It Right. Now this book is really focused on the corporate world and the management and everything we just talked about, right?
Hiring managers. Yes. How to hire the right people.
Okay. Now, is there a place that somebody can go right now to pre-order that book or get on a waiting list for that book? Because we know it's not far away, right?
It's not far away. So people can get on a waiting list by sending me an email.
Okay.
And I'll put you on a waiting list, and as soon as that book is published, you will get a copy.
All right. Fantastic. And we have a third book that we're working on
Yes,
right
we
now
are.
as well.
Yes, we are.
Which is unnamed at this point.
Unnamed, yes.
But that book you
That
and I are
book-
working on together is about your story,
My story.
the legacy book,
Yes, yes.
the
Yeah.
legacy book.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You
So
know,
that
and focusing on how to get visible and how to find your voice, which I had to do.
how to find your voice. My goodness. Is that powerful or what? Like so many people right now are struggling with that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great read. So everybody needs to connect with her and definitely stay in touch. So you and I have been working together. I'm sure that you don't mind me telling everybody that I'm your coach and
don't
that we've
mind
been
at
working
all.
together for quite a while. What has that been like for you? What is having a former nun having an ex-convict as a coach? What has that been like for you?
It's been awesome, actually. So I remember being at I think it was the $100,000 handshake, and you made an invite, and I turned to my partner, and I said, I'm going for it. And he said, I think you should.
That's awesome.
So I did, and for me, it was that push. You can't coach yourself.
Right.
I wanted that push and somebody who would be relentless about demanding that you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
And that's what I tell entrepreneurs and small business owners. I tried to do it by myself because I was embarrassed to ask for help. I didn't even know what to ask or
Yeah.
who to ask. So I struggled mightily building my business. And when I'm working with small business owners or people, I say, why do you think you have to do it alone?
Yeah.
Get some help. It's a mark of intelligence to ask
Yeah.
for help.
Yeah, it is. And, it's funny is that, I believe it was Entrepreneur, or it was Forbes or Entrepreneur, one of them put out a article not too long ago that was talking about how by 2020 over the next decade, we are in 2020, over the next decade, that almost every professional is going to have a coach because people are coming to the realization that they don't have to do it on their own and that it is okay to have somebody else come in, put that second pair of eyes on your business and what you're doing, not tell you the things you want to hear, but tell you the things that you need to hear so that you can go to the next level. So coaching is a must. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a journey. It's been an exciting journey. And I'm so excited that you're actually sharing that story now because I believe it's so powerful. I know everybody that's watching this right now is going, wow, what a crazy, awesome story. And you do speaking. So
I do.
Obviously things are a little crazy right now and there's not a whole lot of big speaking opportunities going on, but I know that I'm planning for 2021 at this point, and I know you are as well,
Right.
reaching out saying, hey, when you guys start opening back up and you're ready to bring in some big crowds again, make me the person that comes in and speak. And I know that's the same case for you. So everybody needs to keep that in mind as well, right? That you're
Right.
available to come out and speak, share that story, and
Right.
what's your message when you go out there and speak from stage to whether it's a corporate event or a leadership conference? What's your message?
So my message is, what's holding you back? Are you speaking out? Are you holding yourself back? I've spoken to 3 different women in the last couple of days who aren't speaking and are leaving their jobs because they can't speak to the people that they work for. How sad, and so I want to help people find that voice. You need to just find it, and
Yeah.
and when you find that voice, what is it going to say?
Yes.
And I just read something about in Japan, in order to control the virus, people who are on roller coasters are told they cannot scream. You have to find your inner voice,
Scream and say.
but not scream. Okay. So my message is, scream, damn it. Just let her rip.
Scream, let it
Yeah,
rip, don't hold back.
Exactly.
That's so awesome.
I've held back for a long time, and it was painful, and it did not serve me.
Yeah. Wow. Very, very powerful. So what's on the horizon? We're going to go ahead and we're going to close out this interview. I mean, we could sit here and talk for days and days and days. But what's on the horizon, and what should everybody be paying attention to when it comes to Lorraine Lane, the business coach?
Well, I'm going to be launching our book, Get It Right, and then I am meeting with people to bring this book to people who need it, and the training that goes with it.
Now you're doing a lot of online stuff as well. You're doing
I
some
am.
webinars and things that people need to plug into for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So where does everybody go? What can they connect with you at on social media?
They can go to my business page, Lane Business Consulting, and go there, and I post events, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here with me today. This has been a blessing to me, and hopefully it's been a blessing to you guys that are watching. Lorraine Lane, she is the bomb diggity, the nun that has, changed the game for so many people. She could change the game for you as well. Definitely connect with her. And as always, your time is so precious, and you guys gave some of that to us today. Hopefully, this interview, something was said in it that is going to serve you in business and in life. And we'll see you guys on the next video. God bless you.
That is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony. I want to talk to you about taking your business and your life to the next level. Success in business and success in life is greatly dependent upon our ability to influence others in a positive way.